In this video topic, we'll see and discuss the very important concept of this course, and that is how to get single post data. Let's go back to browser. So far inside this headless application successfully have completed the functions of listing all the WordPress posts. Additionally, also we have covered add post section. Now from this video we'll work over this edit post button. For example, if I want to update the existing informations of let's say 38 number ID, so what is the process? Process will be very simple. We have to click on this edit button. By the help of this ID, we have to get the existing informations and those informations will be rendered inside this edit post model. So if suppose I want to update any information, simply we have to change or update those values. Click on update button. So whenever if I click on this update button by using event handler function, we have to call a WordPress API, and inside that API we have to pass our updated informations. So this is the complete process of this edit post section. So inside this video we'll discuss only the concept that whenever if I click on this, for example 38 number ID or 37 or 35, so by the help of this dynamic ID, how to get existing post informations. Before going further, I only request you to please hit the like button to give us a thumbs up to this interesting course, and please do subscribe so that I will be creating such type of amazing and interesting courses for you. Next, after this, let's go back to project editor. So here I will first open this postlist.jsx file. So inside this component file, if I scroll down to our tabular format, and inside this action column we'll see two action buttons, that is our edit button and delete button. So first thing first, on click of edit button we have to pass dynamic post ID. Whenever if I click on any post, so we have to get the post ID, so that dynamic value we have to pass first inside edit post model. So what we can do here inside this on click event, we can see that here we have function. So inside this function, first I will go and cut this function for here, parenthesis, arrow function. Now inside this function, I will pass let's say single post dot id, and this is dynamic post id. So let's go inside this callback function. So here, if I go, so this is our function, and inside this function now this time we are taking post id. Now one more thing we have to do, let's go and create a state variable. So const, let's say edit post id, not editor, edit post id, and the function will be set edit post id, and here let's say use state, and the initial value equals to null. Now what next? Let's go inside this function, because this function is now taking the post id, and here let's say set edit post id and simply post id. So once we get the dynamic value of post, what we have to do, let's go inside our edit post model, and here it is. Let's go and add one more prop here and something, let's say post id, and it is going to take the state variable as edit post id. Now next, let's open our edit post model. Next, after this, what we can do, simply I will copy this prop value. Let's go inside this component file. Then I will go and destructure. Remember, this is the dynamic post value, means post ID value, what we get with each post. So by using use effect inside this component file, simply in the dependency of this post ID, we can fetch the existing informations by using WordPress API call. So here, let's say to get existing information by post id. So here let's say use effect, and inside this what I will do, inside this array we have the dependency of this post id. So here let's say for the time being, let's say console.log edit post model, and also if I copy this post id, let's concatenate with this message. Save these changes. If I go back to browser, let's inspect, click on console tab. So here, if I click, for example, on this 38 number ID, click on edit button, and now we can see that edit post model of ID 38. Let's click on this 35, and now we can see that edit post model 35. there is a loader icon, and this is because I think inside this HTML, here we have the loader icon. So conditionally, also we can handle this loader icon. So for that, let's go and create a state variable, something called const display loader, set display loader, use a state, and initially, let's say false here. So what we can do, and one more thing, we have to also import our loader component file. So loader, let's copy. Then I will go here and conditionally, if display loader will be true, and then in that case, we have to load this loader, save these changes. Then I will go here. Let's reload. Next, after load, let's click on this 37 number ID. Click on edit button. And now we can see that edit post model, and here we have the post ID value. So after getting post ID into our edit model, or let's say in component file, simply we have to call a WordPress API. By passing our post ID, we can get all the existing informations. So what is the API endpoint? Let's go back to the JSON documentation of APIs. And here, if I search Control App WP2 post, hit enter. So we can see that WP2 post, and additionally, we can pass post ID. So what we can do here, let's go back to post editor. So this is all about the loading condition. Then I will go inside this use effect, and here simply let's say fetch single WordPress post data, and inside this simply pass post ID. Now let's copy this function name, and here let's say const. Inside this we have to get the post ID, and here let's use try catch block. In case of any error, simply we have to go inside this catch block, and let's say console.log, and here we have some error. Otherwise, also we have discussed, we'll have a finally block, let's say set display loader, and it is going to do the false value. Let's go inside this try block. So const API response equals to await, and before that let's add async keyword so that this function will be async in nature. So await fetch method, and here, first we have to pass the API URL. So just copy base URL. Then we have to concatenate post and post ID. So inside this double quotes, here we have our base URL, then post. And for post ID, simply concatenate with this post ID. And one more thing we can do here, that we can see that this URL is in double quotes and this value is outside of this double quotes. One more syntax we have, and that is called template literal. How to use? So if I go and remove this complete first argument value, and here I'll use backtick symbol. This is backtick symbol. Put our base URL post, and we have to concatenate with the post ID. So forward slash, and here we have the post ID. So copy that variable, and here dollar curly pairs and the variable name. Now this is known as the concept of template literals, because here we have used the dynamic variable inside this string value. Now let's go and again add our second argument, that is method type. So in this case, we'll use get request type headers. It will be authorization basic space concatenate with base64 encoded value of username and password. Now next, if I will go here, let's say const API data equals to API response dot JSON. So it will return the promise block. So let's say await so that we get the correct JSON response. And let's say console.log API data. If I save these changes, let's go back to browser. Let's reload, clear this console tab. So for example, I'm clicking on this 38 number ID, click on edit button, and now we can see that here we have a complete object, and inside this object we have all the post informations according to post ID, that is equals to 38. Now it's really amazing. After getting all these data, simply we have to render all these values to all these form input fields. And one more thing we can do inside this video, that inside this category drop down, we can see that right now we have static values, that is category 1 and category 2. So additionally, also we can pass our categories values from post list component file to this edit post component file. How to do? So the same concept what we did with this add post model. Let's go here, post list. So this is we have called category list, categories, copy, and paste here as a prop value. This is a state variable. This state variable is basically containing the informations of category ID and the category value. Let's go back to browser. So I hope like inside this list, and now we can see that here we have some output pattern of that, like categories, like here we have the category ID and category value. Now this is the entire object what we are passing as a prop inside this edit post model. So let's copy this prop keyword. Let's go here. First I will destructure. So categories list. Let's go inside our category drop down. So here we have two static values. Let's remove curly pairs. So categories list dot, not dot, actually object dot entries, and here our categories list dot map function, it will iterate over each property of that. So here we get the index value like the category ID and then the category value. Now next let's wrap inside our HTML. So here option tag, and inside here let's say category value, and inside this category ID, so it will be from index. And for re-rendering, let's add key prop and let's index. Save these changes. If I go and reload, click on 38 number ID, click on edit button, and let's close for the time being. So we can see that here we have the dynamic value of categories like uncategorized and laptop. Additionally, if I go into our console tab, so here, if I close first, let's cancel. So for example, if I want to open, let's say 33 number ID, click on edit button. So we can see that category is now dynamic, and also on click of post ID 33. Now here we have a complete entire object which contains all the informations of that post. So in the next coming video, what we can do after getting all these data, simply we have to parse, simply we have to get data and put inside all these input fields, so that whenever if user update the existing informations, click on update button, simply we have to send the updated informations with API call. And one more thing we can do inside this video, that we can see here, right here we have a missing image, that is featured image. So what basically I want, in case if no image available, I have to use the default image, and the default image will be something called no image URL. So what we can do, let's copy this URL, copy URL to clipboard. Let's go to project editor, and here I'll create a state variable. So const, let's say default featured image URL, let's say set default image or default featured image URL, and use state, and inside this is our complete URL of no image. So I will copy this state variable. Let's scroll down, and here inside this featured image, inside this src, let's say curly pairs, and this is the value. Save these changes. So if I go and let's reload, click on 38 number ID, and now we can see no image available, but the image size is like too large. So what we can do, let's add a style attribute. Then I will use an object here, and here let's say height equals to, for example, 100 pixel. Save these changes. I'll go, let's reload, click on this 37 number ID, and now we can see that no image available. So obviously behind the scene, on the basis of dynamic post ID, we got the post informations. So in the next video, if the post information successfully we have fetched, so we have to get those data and put inside this edit post model. So friends, I hope that this video was very helpful and informative. So please give us a thumbs up, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Now let's meet to our next amazing video. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.